of drogue chutes, and then the final deployment of a series of 3 main parachutes at 7:04 and 44 seconds p.m. Central Time. From that point on, it is about 3 minutes or so until splashdown. Splashdown scheduled at 7:07 and 8 seconds p.m. Central Time at a gentle speed of 19 miles an hour. So just to give you some perspective, at the time that we enter the Earth's atmosphere, we're traveling somewhere around Mach 32. We will splash down at a speed of about 19 miles an hour. The G-forces that will build on the crew members inside Integrity will build to about 3.9 Gs. That is what is expected and what they have trained for and what the spacecraft is designed to support. The latest weather forecast out in the recovery zone off the coast of San Diego is a go forecast from our meteorologists here at the Spaceflight Meteorology Group at the Johnson Space Center. And standing by on the deck of the USS John Murtha is my colleague from the Kennedy Space Center, Megan Cruz. Megan?
Hey there, Rob. Yeah, welcome to the bow of the USS John Murtha. This is where we will report out live updates from the ship as NASA and the U.S. military work to recover our Artemis II astronauts in just about an hour and a half. How exciting. Now, right now, as you can see, we are out in the Pacific Ocean. We are just west of San Diego. We're actually staged about 6.5 miles away from where we expect Orion to splash down. And then we will incrementally move closer. So at the time of splashdown, we'll be about 5 miles away, and then we will move to 3.2 miles away. At that point, we'll pause, make sure that all the debris that might be coming down with Orion, because basically some parts of like the parachute system, they're jettisoned off Orion during descent. So we'll just want to make sure that those all land in the water and that we are safe to move even closer. So we will make sure that we can move a little closer, and at that point we will move to a mile away from Orion. And at that point the ship will circle the capsule while NASA and Navy recovery forces work to get our astronauts out, and we should have great views of the bow from here. But also we have a ton of cameras all around the ship. For example, we actually have some cameras right to the left of me here on the bow. These are very strong, stabilized cameras. We can really get up close to make sure that we are sharing all the images we have available to you. We also will have some views from above. We actually have 5 planes providing live views of splashdown today. In fact, some of those aerial assets just took off from San Diego minutes ago. And then actually here on the flight deck, you see 4 helicopters, the 2 in the back. Those will take off in about 30 minutes from now, also with live cameras. So again, lots and lots of imagery that we hope to share with you today. And then those 2 helos in the front, those 2 will pluck the crew out of the water and fly them back to our ship. Now, the combined team here on the ship, more than 550 people, left San Diego 4 days ago, and since then I've watched different teams train every day, rehearse, final preps to make sure that they're ready for today. So to give us more of an update about how recovery is going on right now, why don't we turn over to Paul here, Paul Sierpinski. He is the Assistant Artemis Recovery Director. Great to have you here, Paul.
Great to be here, thanks.
Absolutely. So you just left the landing forces operations center here on the ship. How are we looking for recovery?
Right now, it's looking great. When I left, they were just about to get into weather briefing with Mission Control Center in Houston, but listening to the loops this morning and everything that's been going on, the reentry trajectory correction burn, the return trajectory correction burn went great. They were right down the money, right on the money, right down the middle where they should be coming back. Our forces here are teams out in the water. All our boats are launched or will be imminently. So yeah, it's just coming along great.
Yeah, yeah. It's really nice to see. We did see some of those boats float behind us. We were hoping to give you a live view, but of course they floated right out of the camera shot as you came to us. But so basically the team right now here on the ship, basically like monitoring mode, but really things will pick up about 15 minutes after splashdown.
Yeah, so a couple minutes before splashdown, things start happening really, really fast. Some events during the re-entry, they're maybe a second or two apart, and so it just takes a whole lot of effort and a lot of updates back and forth between us and Houston to try to keep track of everything that's happening, all in real time. And then after splashdown, that's when the recovery team really kicks into high gear. We have our boat teams, our boat crews going out, our divers doing hazardous assessments as they get progressively closer to the capsule, making sure, you know, it's safe for all of our people to go in, and it's also safe for the astronauts to come out, because really at the end of the day, that's what we're here for, is we're to make sure that the astronauts get home safe after their tremendous journey to the moon and back. But then also we have, like you mentioned on a minute ago, all of our imagery helicopters are taking imagery, camera shots of it as it's coming in all the way through splashdown. I mean, they'll see it as soon as it crosses the horizon, all the way to the ocean here.
And then afterwards, we have to recover actually Orion to bring it into the well deck of the ship.
Absolutely, yeah. And so once the astronauts are safe on board, then those same dive teams are going to transition into securing the capsule. They'll position some equipment around it to kind of facilitate that. The ship will move into position. We'll attach a really big winch line to it, and then a bunch of tending lines. We'll pull the capsule around behind the ship and then start to slowly bring it in. And then, yeah. Orion comes in, goes hard down, and everyone cheers.
Yeah,
great day.
Great day, exactly. Lots to coordinate, a lot to manage. Basically planning for this recovery, Artemis II recovery, started a month after Artemis I launched. That was the uncrewed test flight of the Space Launch System rocket, as well as the Orion spacecraft. That was November 2022, a month later, all the planning for this. How does it feel to be so close to welcoming our friends, our astronauts home?
I mean, for the whole team, I walked around the ship this morning, just kind of visiting with a lot of people, a lot of groups, and just kind of get the feel of them. And everyone has that same kind of mentality. Everyone's excited, everyone's thrilled to see all that work that we've been doing, like you said, for the last 3 years, since right after the last one came back till now. And some people even further back, some of them go back a decade or more. So everyone is just excited, and they're ready. They're really ready for this, and just to be able to see our crew come back, that's going to be a thrill for everyone.
How are you feeling? Are you ready? Is this something you ever thought you'd be doing?
I'm ready. I'm excited. This has been the pinnacle of my career so far. It really has. I've seen a lot of firsts, a lot of lasts, but I can't think of ever topping seeing the first crew to go to the moon and back in 50 years, and to be here and be a part of that. And it's just a tremendous privilege. And on behalf of the whole team, like, I'm thrilled, and so are all of us. We're ready.
Yeah, I definitely think that those words really embody how everybody on the ship is feeling. So thank you so much, Paul. I appreciate you being here. And so, Rob, we'll toss it back to you again. We will continue to join you with live updates from the ship as much as possible.
Thank you, Megan. Back here at the Johnson Space Center, the entry team of flight controllers looking over the shoulders of Reid Wiseman and Victor Glover there on the flight deck of Integrity, and again, just below their feet in the mid-deck area, if you will, Christina, Koch and Jeremy Hansen of the Canadian Space Agency. They're in the final review of their entry procedures and all of the activities that will follow here very shortly in trip hammer fashion. We should note that after splashdown occurs, the flight control team here in Houston will be monitoring the orientation of the Integrity spacecraft. We are expecting it to splash down upright in what is called the Stable 1 configuration, with the top of the spacecraft pointed upward. Stable 2 would indicate that it is upside down in the water. Regardless of the orientation, there will be 5 inflatable airbags called the CMOOS system. That's the acronym for Crew Module Uprighting System.
We are suit dot complete.
Houston copies.
Reid Wiseman acknowledging that the final steps in suit donning are now complete for the crew. Leak checks have been completed earlier. The CMOOS system, those 5 inflatable airbags, will be inflated with helium. Those airbags will ensure that the vehicle remains upright. While that activity is going on, the flight control team here will be checking the systems on integrity, also making sure that there's no leakage of toxic gas from the spacecraft. It should take about 15 minutes from splashdown to the power down of all of the systems on integrity. And at that point, assuming everything is in a nominal fashion, then the green light will be given for the Navy recovery teams to begin to make their way closer to integrity, to begin the erection of a large inflatable life raft called a front porch that will be buttressed up alongside the hatchway to the spacecraft. That life raft will be used to bring the crew members out of this vehicle once the hatch is open, one by one. They'll get their land legs back after 9 days of weightlessness before they're put in harnesses to be hoisted one by one in sequential fashion, in an alternating fashion, to the two hovering Navy helicopters overhead.
Houston, integrity for a status.
Go ahead.
Seats 3 and 4 are connecting umbilicals. We're going to be stepping into leak check soon. 1 and 2 will be seated. 3 and 4 will be free float, and we'll configure EPROC accordingly.
Houston, copies all.
Reid Wiseman talking about the current procedures with the suiting of the crew members and subsequent leak checks, a final leak check for all 4 crew members. Everything is actually running a few minutes ahead of schedule. So once the life raft is inflated next to the Integrity spacecraft and the recovery teams have arrived alongside of the vehicle, the hatch will be open and the crew members will be brought outside into that front porch, as it is called, one by one. They then will be hoisted into the hovering helos overhead, and those helos then will turn around once the 4 crew members are on board, 2 for each helicopter, and will head back to the ship. That should be about a 10 to 15 minute transit. Once the helicopters land on the deck of the USS John Murtha, the crew members will be exiting those helicopters and brought into medical bay on the deck on the ship itself for comprehensive medical exams. They will spend a period of time yet to be determined on board.
All of this emptiness, this is a whole bunch of nothing, this thing we call the universe. You have this oasis, this beautiful place that we get to exist together. I think as we go into Easter Sunday, thinking about, you know, all the cultures all around the world, whether you celebrate it or not, whether you believe in God or not, this is an opportunity for us to remember where we are, who we are, and that we are the same thing and that we got to get through this together.
Based on the entry trajectory for the Artemis I mission. What we're doing is we deliberately changed the trajectory of the entry from a skip entry that was about a 3,000-mile transit across the Pacific Ocean. We are expecting now from entry interface to the point of splashdown to have a range of just 1,701 nautical miles, and that in of itself will reduce the exposure time of heating on the heat shield of the spacecraft. Once the raise burn is complete, then the stage is set for entry interface at 6:53 and 31 seconds p.m. Central Time. That means that Integrity will be entering the Earth's atmosphere at an altitude of 400,000 feet, traveling at about 34,882 feet per second, heading for its splashdown site off the coast of San Diego, as you just heard from Megan Cruz on the deck of the USS John Murtha. Splashdown once again under those 3 main parachutes is expected at 7:07 and 8 seconds p.m. Central Time, 5:07 p.m. Pacific Time, 2.5 hours before sunset. The actual total distance traveled for Integrity from launch to splashdown is estimated at 694,481 statute miles. Now that includes the first high elliptical Earth orbit following launch that enabled Integrity to move to 43,000 miles above the Earth at its apogee, and enabling a 24-hour period of systems checkouts before the flight control team here and the mission management team gave approval for Integrity to conduct its translunar injection that propelled it on its way to the moon and its historic lunar flyby. So the total distance we expect this vehicle to have traveled at splashdown, 694,481 statute miles. With everything proceeding on track and on time aboard Integrity, the vehicle system's in excellent shape as the Earth grows larger in the field of view. Let's go back to the USS John Murtha and Megan Cruz, who is standing by.
Hey, yeah, Rob, welcome back. Again, we are out in the Pacific Ocean, staged just about 6.5 miles from where we expect Orion to splash down now in just over an hour. How exciting. And the weather, awesome conditions here. I know you see some wind blowing around my hair, but really nothing to speak of when it comes to having to recover our astronauts, as well as no waves here, really. So yeah, we're expecting a really great day. Also, hopefully, some really great views. You can see behind me that some of the clouds are starting to break up, so that's really exciting. And now, of course, this ship has a lot of people ready and excited to welcome our crew back home, including Dr. Rick Schuring here. He is a NASA flight surgeon. Great to have you here, Rick.
You too, Megan. It is a blessing to be out here this day with our teams. We've trained 3 years for this, nonstop with the U.S. Navy, and along with EGS, and we've so looked forward to this day. And you know, just by God's grace, everything's parting, the skies and everything. The crew's doing great. Looking forward to come back, and our teams are ready. So this is one of those days you've dreamt about, and now it's finally here, and we're ready, and just thankful to be a part of it. Yeah, and you play a really integral role. When was the last time you spoke to the crew, and how are they feeling in this last hour before splashdown? Sure. Yeah, so the crew woke up. When they splashed down, they were woken up about 8.5 hours ago. Me and my fellow crew surgeons, Doctors Chris Haas and Rafi Kumjian from the Canadian Space Agency, spoke with them about 6.5 hours ago, just to double check on how they were doing, if there's any medical issues, you know, how they slept, and then kind of go over their landing day protocol for their medications, for what we call a fluid load, to try to replace some of the fluid and electrolytes that they've lost with just a normal space adaptation. Once they got to space, they kind of have to replace some of that fluid to help them with the whole landing kind of readaptation to 1G, which they haven't done for the last 10 days. And then just kind of let them know how things are going to play out, you know, out with the open water teams all the way until we finally get to the med deck. So they were very pumped up, very hurried though. They had a lot of cabin configuration, a lot of things to get ready. So they're excited, but also very focused on the job that they had to do. So like again, we've trained a long time for this, and we're ready. And you said some medications. I mean, those are kind of just to mitigate the effects of, obviously, they're more than 695,000 mile journey back to Earth. It's just like anti-nausea medication, right? Yeah, exactly, Megan. You know, astronauts are very healthy, fortunately, and even when they come back in reentry, you know, the human system is very kind of dynamic. It has to readapt very quickly, and one of the most common responses they get is just some stomach awareness, to some nausea, even to some vomiting. And you know, with our crews that land out in Karagana, the Soyuz crews or our SpaceX crews, you know, they all kind of experience the same thing. This will be the first time we're landing in water since December 1972, and I worked with all the Apollo astronauts years ago, and they all told me that landing in the water, especially in the Pacific, can be very provocative. So we take steps to give them medicines to really mitigate some of that nausea, vomiting, help them feel a little bit better, and also sometimes just use a little anti-inflammatory medicine just to help with coming back to 1 Earth or 1G. The effects of microgravity, especially as you age and you have a little arthritis, you feel great in microgravity, and everyone kind of curses coming back to the ground like, oh dang, 1G, but so that helps a little bit. But for the most part, the main thing is just replacing that fluid and then trying to help them with that transition back to 1G, and then we're ready to go.
Yeah, and their health is assessed almost immediately after they splash down.
Yeah, so we have Dr. Jesse Wang, and we have our independent duty corpsmen, who are the Navy version of paramedics, extremely highly trained, highly experienced Navy medics and divers who will go out there, open the capsule about 28 minutes after splashdown and do the first initial assessment. So Jesse and his team will go out there and look at each crew, kind of do their assessments, get vital signs, report back to Drs. Haas and Kumji and I back in the med bay, let them know how they're doing, and then if they've got the normal kind of space adaptation kind of things, we expect that they're good to go on that. If anything, didn't go the way we want, they're all prepared for that as well. And Jesse and his team, I mean, this is their full-time job, taking care of, sailors and folks who might be injured. We don't expect any injuries, but coming back, going 25,000 miles an hour down to, 20, miles an hour is still a dynamic process. I've heard it described as, kind of like a car crash. And then the crew will be ready to go, and Jesse and his team will make that transition to get them out to the front porch, do assessments on them again, call it to our med bay, and then once we have that and they're all good to go and the crew's feeling okay, we'll hoist them up in the helos. It's about a 3-minute flight back to the flight deck, and that's where me and the astronaut chief, Scott Tingle, will actually meet them. I'll get eyes on them, make sure they're all good, just take very slow transitions, and then one by one we'll either get them out with the SMTs, the SAR med techs under each arm, just kind of just walk them very slowly to med bay, which actually helps them acclimate back to 1G. Or if they really don't have their sea legs back yet, then we might put them in what we call a stair chair, which will be right behind them, and then just very slowly kind of get them back into med bay to start our full assessments for the team.
Yeah, so a really great team here to support them as soon as they get back, and also
The final countdown to splashdown. 4 astronauts make their highly anticipated return from the moon to Earth, as we all hope for a re-entry that is as smooth as can be and a splashdown in the Pacific as gentle as can be. Is your heart beating out of your chest? Because my heart is truly beating out of my chest. Welcome into the Stream Center, folks, as we welcome you in to our Artemis II splashdown coverage here from the Stream Center at WFLA in Tampa, Florida. I'll introduce you to our guests here in just a moment, including in the Stream Center and joining us remotely. But first, let's give you the 101 on this story. Who are we talking about? Yeah, we're talking about the 4 astronauts aboard the Orion capsule. They are culminating their 10-day journey to the moon. That's, of course, something we've been following over the last week plus. They're basically loop around the moon and then return home. Splashdown is set to occur at 8:07. We'll break down some of the key timestamps between now and then over the next hour or so. The Pacific Ocean is where splashdown is set to occur, somewhere in the San Diego range, off the coast of San Diego. Why are they returning from space? Yeah, because space is uninhabitable. I mean, the why on this is kind of self-explanatory, fellas, right? And yes, how they are going to do a re-entry from Earth's orbit, and the key moment is when they are 400,000 feet above Earth's surface. Let's bring in our team, our stream team, joining us from her home, I believe, meteorologist Amanda Holly, who you saw at Kennedy Space Center for launch coverage. She watched the historic launch of the 4 astronauts aboard the SLS and now aboard Orion. Joining us here in the Stream Center, producers Garrett Phillips and Josh Scott, back here with us on stream. And in the bottom right, you see that we are 57 minutes away from splashdown. Guys, who's got goosebumps? I got goosebumps.
You know I'm excited.
That's gonna be your signature line, Josh. Is I'm excited. You're excited. Any nerves in the room? Amanda, why don't we start with you? You've been following this oh so closely with each and every hour that I'm sure that even when you're not awake, you're following this as you can when you're just getting some rest. But what is the latest, and what are the numbers that we're hearing from NASA?
Yeah, I think I only take naps anyways, short naps. So
right.
I've stayed up to date on all things Artemis, since 10 days ago when they launched from Kennedy Space Center, and that was amazing. The most dangerous parts of a mission are usually launch and that ascent through the atmosphere, and then the descent coming back into the atmosphere here. Obviously, ascent was perfect. Launch was amazing. It was an incredible view. The performance of the rocket itself has seemed, so far, everything coming back, all the data has seemed really good. Obviously, getting back into the atmosphere, though, is a dangerous part, and that's because of that heat build up. And I think one key thing that we are going to be watching for, of course, during this re-entry is that heat shield a little bit more so than normal because of the things that we saw with the first test mission, Artemis I. And there were some things that NASA did not expect to happen with the heat shield on Artemis I. So that 7-minute blackout period, 6 to 7 minute blackout period is going to be key, because that's when that heat shield is going to be working, protecting the astronauts from 5,000 degree Fahrenheit temperatures on the outside. Now, the capsule itself was fine on the inside during Artemis I, but again, this heat shield is going to be very important during this splashdown event. So nerves, always, right? There's always risks in these missions. NASA tries to buy down the risks, but we are still talking about 4 astronauts returning to the Earth at about 25,000 miles an hour. So that's really fast.
As we look here, it is fast. As we look here live, let's bring up some audio from NASA's feed here and just listen in for a moment.
To make sure that we are tracking the right kind of weather and also the data that's needed for what's called our Sasquatch team. Again, it's a team out of NASA that basically makes sure that the debris that comes off of Orion, again, some of those pieces of the parachute system, make sure that they don't fall on us here in the sea, and also our aerial assets, our folks in helicopters. So watching that float away right now. But with me right now is Captain Eric Kenny. He's the commanding officer of the John P. Murtha naval ship. Thank you so much for being here. There are so many moving parts that you have to keep an eye on.
That's absolutely right, yeah. But first of all, on behalf of the crew of USS John P. Murtha, Megan, thanks for having me on today. Happy to tell you what we're doing and excited to get the interview started.
Yeah, absolutely. Why don't we actually take a look at the flight deck here? We'll start there. Basically, we also, while watching this weather balloon float away, we noticed all 4 helicopters helicopters leave the flight deck. We now have an empty flight deck. We had 2 imagery helos as well as the 2 crew helicopters that will go recover the crew. This is just one of the many things that, again, our ship of 550 people, it's something that you oversee as commanding officer.
Yeah, absolutely. Every commanding officer, I would say really every naval service member, our priority is always safety. And as the commanding officer, I take that as one of my primary roles here on board. Mission accomplishment is important, safety always. So my day really has, I would say my message to the crew has sort of changed over the past 24 hours. As we're leading up to today, we've been building up with excitement and motivating the team for the training that we've executed. But really over the past 24 hours, now I'm trying to get us to slow down a little bit. Trust our training, right? Don't believe all the hype. Don't believe everything that's going on. Just let's trust what we've done to get to this point. And if we do that, we'll be successful today.
Mm-hmm. And also part of the big success.
We'll be dipping into NASA Plus's coverage of the splashdown as reentry is getting closer and closer to really those big moments Amanda was just noting a short time ago. We have a lot of different cameras here in the Stream Center, so let's punch up a few. Starting here with the bow of the vessel, the ship, the Navy ship, as you just heard that interview being conducted on, that is going to be in charge of retrieving the 4 astronauts when splashdown does occur. Let's bring in Josh and Garrett here as we take a live look at this picture for the first time. This is going to be fascinating as we follow this camera shot, fellas, as we see the parachute. You know, this is as we've been told, and this is from the pool camera feed folks that we have been in contact with today, this is a long lens camera shot. So when I hit the touchscreen here and we are able to see this shot, they're going to be able to zoom in significantly. This is going to be the majestic shot where we're going to see the parachutes deploy. And I don't know if we'll see them deploy, but we'll see them above the Orion capsule as it gets lower.
Look at all the cameras, though, on the bow of the ship there. All of those different targeting cameras.
I mean, you've got press upon press upon press that can be there. If you got an email that said, hey, do you want to come on the USS John P. Martha, which is what this ship is called, and if you would like to have the potential to take a photo of Artemis as it splashes down and as the capsule returns, would you like to be here? I would be shocked if anyone said no to that opportunity.
I mean,
would you say no, Garrett?
As much as I would say I love being here and covering this with you guys, I mean, how could you possibly pass that up? Especially because, I mean, there's, reporting out there that if you're in Southern California today, you could feel or hear sonic booms from this reentry. I mean, that's a crazy thought that everybody on this ship obviously is in a close enough proximity to be able to feel that coming in. I mean, that alone, right? If you've ever been to like a concert and the decibels are kind of getting you going, right? That level of it, I can imagine that something like this is comparable, if not even a little cooler, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I concur. It's interesting. They are a part. I don't even know if they realize this. They're in this live shot right now that we just had. They are a part of the coverage going on of this Artemis return to Earth. It is a very cool opportunity for those photographers.
I think that they probably know they're in coverage all across the nation. I'm sure that there are plenty of places.
Speaking of this shot, let's just point something out because we were kind of giggling about this a little bit earlier on. So NASA made it clear that we have to courtesy NASA for this feed, and we only laugh only because. Well, of course it's coming from NASA. Where else could it possibly be coming from? So I understand that NASA would like there to be a courtesy for us to acknowledge that this is coming from NASA. But it's not like there's some other space agency that we could be getting this from, Amanda. So this is one of the coolest views right here because you're in the cockpit with the astronauts.
This is the coolest view because there's so many things that I could talk about. And obviously we're kind of, just looking at a couple of different things, but there are so many different things that I can talk about just within this shot. Obviously you see the 2 astronauts, likely pilot Victor Glover and Commander Reid Wiseman there looking at the 3 displays. But not only are we looking at the astronauts, they're in their orange suits, right? Those are the protective suits that they have to don either during launch or during descent in case their cabin loses pressure or anything like that. It's their own life support system inside that suit, which is really cool. Then you look at what they're looking at in front of them, what they're touching. All of those things local to Tampa here, really cool, were built, designed, manufactured, and built there in Clearwater at Honeywell, which is really cool. And I did a story on that prior to them launching because all of that technology there was designed in Tampa, but it's not just designed in Tampa, but it's stuff that they've used since the Apollo mission, because it's all worked since then.
Right. You get it right once, so you don't stop, right?
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Amanda, are they comfortable?
Oh yeah, they're comfortable. Now they're in a very specific configuration for launch and landing. So I mean, obviously they don't really know the difference between up and down right now because they are in zero gravity. But their capsule will kind of change positions as they make their way back in, and they have to configure themselves in a way that they are comfortable during the descent.
So for those of you just joining us, Amanda, Holly, Garrett, Phillips, Josh Scott, JB Buno here with you. When we do actually get to the historic calls on NASA Plus, when we're going to hear some of the radio communication, when we come out of the communication blackout that is going to occur during reentry, we'll listen in, of course, to that. We're going to just provide you with some commentary and keep you company really for the next 40 or so minutes before things start to get particularly interesting. Another thing that I want to try, and this is actually relatively new, and I'm hoping that we can get this working, is that we're going to bring up the chat and let everybody know. Yeah, there it is. Look at that. My goodness, you never know what people are going to say in the chat.
It's a good question.
There is a good question in there. Let's just get that right out of the way, Amanda. If they have to, let's just say they have to use the restroom at this point going forward. They're accounted for, right? Because you know that question is coming up in the chat.
Yeah, so those life support systems, technically, they can be in them for 6 days without taking them off. So there are things that can happen.
Elegant way to put it.
As we bring in the chat and we bring in some questions using Hey JB in the comment section, which of course we do on stream all the time. Guys, feel free to file your comments and questions into the chat. Let's bring up this portion of it. How nervous are things right now?
The tracking and data relay satellite system.
Listen in for a second.
We'll have communications for the rest of the flight. Just to give you some time hacks here, we're 13.5 minutes away from crew module, service module separation, and just 17 minutes away from the raise burn, that 19-second firing of the thrusters that will basically be the final fine-tuning of the angle of attack for integrity as it enters the Earth's atmosphere.
All right, so just bringing in some of that radio communication here, and again, it's just going to be absolutely fascinating to follow this over the course of the day. I'm losing some feeds here, but I lost that feed, but we'll come back to that one. I want to show everybody here once again the shot from the ship, and again, guys, it's the USS John
P. Murtha.
P. Murtha. So this is where we're gonna hopefully see the Orion capsule with all parachutes properly deployed as it slowly lowers down towards the Pacific Ocean. This is actually great. So they're kind of panning around and they're going to demonstrate here just how far the zoom goes. My goodness, that is quite the zoom. I wonder, anyone have an idea which particular vessel that is? Obviously, all the vessels in the region are being closely monitored by the U.S. Navy, so that's probably another ship belonging to the U.S. Navy, I would imagine.
Not
or
just
maybe
anybody fishing, you're saying? Probably not just
I would imagine that's not
ship.
just, I'm out here trying to catch some snapper.
It's a good view.
They are, I think, about 200 miles off the coast of San Diego. So hopefully no recreational boats out there. They definitely, yesterday during their press conference, their last press conference that they talked about.
Oh, and Amanda, I think you froze there a little bit. We'll bring it back in here in just a second. As we give you a live look here, and let's bring in a live look. They're doing a visualization now of the Orion capsule as it gets a little bit closer to, I believe that this is the current location based on this visualization that NASA can produce and kind of demonstrate for the audience joining on NASA Plus where the spacecraft is presently in proximity, of course, to Earth and to Earth's orbit. So here's these shots to me are absolutely fascinating. Amanda, I think you're back. We lost you there for a second. Let's try and bring you back here again.
Yeah, you got me?
I have you.
Okay, cool. So I was just saying that that fleet of boats is about 200 miles at least off the coast of San Diego. So they highly discourage people, just regular people, from going out there to look at this yesterday during their press conference because of the possibility of falling debris. So hopefully there's no recreational boaters out there.
Yeah. Fingers crossed that everything is clear for a smooth splashdown.
The weather looks great.
The weather does look great. And while we bring that up, Amanda, we're going to bring on Chief Meteorologist Jeff Berardelli a little bit later on as well to kind of chat about this. But could you give us a preliminary forecast? I mean, clearly things are pretty clear out there right now in the Pacific. It looks. Would you say these are ideal conditions for splashdown?
They are really. You're not seeing hardly any white caps out there right on those waves. There may be one or two. Usually you start to see white caps on waves at about 12 to 15 miles an hour. And that's kind of ideal. Any more than that, right? You don't want the capsule kind of blowing around or creating any more waves for them to be, after they splash down, they got to sit there for a little while, right? Bobbing around in the Pacific Ocean. So they don't want that. They actually changed pickup location to the Pacific Ocean because typically, climatologically, it is a little bit nicer out there, a little easier to target some of these areas instead of off the coast, the east and west coast of Florida, which is where we have always kind of splashed down in the past few years. So the astronauts will always be picked up from the Pacific now.
That was an interesting shot, a chopper appearing to land there on the USS John P. Murtha. So we'll be following some of the activity there from that U.S. Navy vessel, which has been highly trained, and their specific focus, of course, is this mission, and that mission is to retrieve the 4 astronauts safely once they do splash down off the coast of San Diego.
And we're 9 minutes away from that, the Orion separating from that service module. And even just looking at this, I know this is a visualization, right? But the proximity that they are now to the Earth is incredible to think about. How far, we've all been on long road trips, right? You feel like, I can't wait to get home. Imagine going 252,756 miles away from home, seeing this as a little blue dot, right, that Earth, and now that feeling being now 5,000 miles and counting down away from the Pacific Ocean. I can't imagine what it's like to be in that mind space, just having seen the Earth be far away, now seeing it get close, and now knowing, you're entering the atmosphere very, very soon.
Do we think anybody's made an "Are we there yet" joke? That's a good question. First thing I would have done. I'm not gonna lie.
I bet you some of the chatter up there is you would hope that the mood is light, but you always hear that they're so focused, Amanda. Every time that you hear from the astronauts about the particular mission at hand, you just hear about how focused they are. Amanda, we'll check back in with you in the 7:30 half hour when we reintroduce another few audiences actually on some other platforms. So thank you for joining us. We'll see you in a little bit.
Sounds good.
All right, let's bring in Josh Scott. Josh, before we get to the back end of our coverage as we get a little bit closer to countdown, you are going to talk a little bit about splashdowns. And there's quite a long history, of course, of splashdowns going back a long time. This one is going to be one of the most anticipated splashdowns in some time. But you were doing some homework on this.
I did a little bit of homework because I, as many of you are, we're very curious. How often has this happened? We all heard the Apollo missions. We've seen some of that footage. So I wanted to know. And you're going to see some of this populate here. That right there, I believe, is Project Mercury. In 1961, Alan Shepard's Freedom 7, the first U.S. astronaut to return via splashdown. And then you move on to Project Gemini. They made splashdowns a bigger part of the test program at NASA. Gemini 3 was the first within that to do so, and it proved the maneuvering, rendezvous, and docking skills NASA needed before going to the moon. We all know what missions that happened in. Those are the Apollo missions, which is where we go to next. Apollo 8 was the first human mission to go to the moon and return, again, via splashdown. Apollo 11 is the most famous post-moon landing splashdown because, they actually landed on the moon. And then Apollo 13, another major splashdown that people think of because, again, that could have ended in disaster. Many people think it should have until those astronauts were able to come back home. And then you get to the U.S.-Soviet docking missions, which is the Apollo Soyuz. Butchered it, but it's some form of Russian that I don't know. And then It became the last American astronaut splashdown on July 24th, 1975 for 45 years. And then you got to this. That's what you're seeing right here. The Crew Dragon, which brought splashdowns back. And that was the NASA SpaceX Demo 2 in 2020. The first one since that 1975 date. We're throwing a lot of different times out to you guys. And that's why Artemis II matters tonight, because that was SpaceX. This is now NASA via the Orion spacecraft. And we're hoping for another successful splashdown tonight. And actually, if you're curious to see, and Garrett, I know you've seen some of these footage, this is what the Artemis I looked like post-splashdown. We're probably going to get very similar images tonight, you would assume. And so lots of people on the edge of their seats to see this capsule come home.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously such an interesting, look at the history of what the space program has kind of done and been able to do. And it puts into context just how incredible the Artemis II mission really is, because, you mentioned it a little bit there. This is like the first mission to the moon, crewed mission to the moon in over 50 years, right? There's a lot of firsts on this crew, including the first woman on a lunar mission, the first Canadian astronaut on a lunar mission. It set the record for the farthest space travel by any human, trip in history at 252,756 miles, which is an insane number when you try and put it into context. Truly, honestly, one of those types of things where, like, you say that number out loud and you can't really contextualize it in your head, right? You have nothing to really put it into like a kind of a relative space, because you say that, we're talking about a long road trip a second ago. That's like 1,000 or 2 miles, right? You're talking about a fraction of what this trip has been for these astronauts. And, on reentry, it's going to, hit a speed that is, again, something that you can almost not really contextualize in your head. Nearly 700,000 miles is how long that these astronauts will have traveled. 694,000 miles. And that is just, again, how do you even really like imagine that in your head, right?
How do you think about it? I think it was actually Amanda Hawley who was telling me about if you hold I think it was a soccer ball, but I'm sure she'll be able to correct me here. If you hold it arm's length and you look at it, that's the distance of the moon, I believe it was, from the Earth. She's nodding her head a little bit on the side there, so I think I got it. I was looking for the confirmation. But again, you can kind of visualize that, but even scaling it there to
then you have to think about how
down.
small that vessel would be, and it's like you could almost not even see it. I'm sure. I don't even know if you could see it.
The live stream got very Shakespearean really fast.
It really did
with Josh. To our audience watching right now across multiple platforms, we have now reached 7:30 Eastern Time. We have to now re-engage more platforms, including Facebook Live and Instagram Live as well, because we are getting really close to some of the key moments in the re-entry process. So stand by. We'll be back in 60 seconds as our coverage continues here on Hey JB from the Stream Center. A live look at Orion, getting closer and closer to Earth's surface. 4 astronauts aboard, getting ready for splashdown, and we are moments away from separation, a key moment in the re-entry process. Welcome into the Stream Center, folks. Our final countdown to splashdown resumes here on Hey JB from the Stream Center. It's good to have you with us at any point in the live stream. If you're joining us on social media, you can use Hey JB in the comment section. We can bring in your comments. We can have a conversation with you guys back and forth because things are getting particularly interesting. This is the moment that we have all been waiting for, separation as the Orion capsule gets closer and closer to the re-entry, the key moments of re-entry into Earth's orbit as we get closer, of course, to the 400,000 foot mark, which is going to be a key and significant moment for mission control and everybody watching around the country and around the world. Let's bring in our entire team, and now that includes WFLA Chief Meteorologist Jeff Berardelli. Jeff, it is good to have you here with us. Really quick, we want to just let's show everybody actually a live picture from the USS John P. Murtha, the Navy vessel that has been tasked with retrieving Orion and the 4 astronauts aboard it. Real quick, things look really optimal out there, and I would imagine that weather conditions are optimal for splashdown.
Yeah, it's looking really good, JB. And if you want, on Weather 1,
okay.
I have some graphics. They just kind of scroll through. Takes about 30, 45 seconds to go through them. But what you see is what you get. We're looking at a picture there, and that's exactly what the weather is. And in a way, we're lucky. You can see, the trajectory of landing there in splashdown just off San Diego. And there's a storm, actually. You can see it up in San Francisco. And luckily, this is happening now and not, let's say, tomorrow or later in the weekend because that storm's going to be much closer. But the rain is nowhere near San Diego. So just
stand by, Jeff, because I think we are now looking live here at separation. A key moment, of course. Let's listen in to the NASA broadcast. We'll be back in just a moment.
It's not applicable.
Integrity.
So, with Integrity now flying free on its own for the remaining 32 minutes of this mission. Next up, the raise burn, a 19-second firing of Integrity's thrusters.
GPS 2.
Integrity copies. Good GPS 2.
Coming up on the 2-minute mark until the raise burn. Again, this is the final tweaking of the orientation of Integrity to put it in the right angle, if you will, the angle of attack that it will fly in during its entrance into the Earth's atmosphere. Entry interface now just 18 minutes, 25 seconds away. This is a visualization, but driven by real-time telemetry. This is the maneuvering of Integrity to the raise burn orientation. Just 2,800 miles from Earth.
Houston, we got a great view of the European service module out the window with the sun hitting the side and the solar rays and the NASA worm right there. It's a beautiful looking machine.
Roger.
And we have completed the maneuver to the raise burn orientation, 1 minute away from the raise burn.
I'm going to bring in Amanda Holly here. Amanda, can you give us a quick explainer on where we are right now in the reentry process?
Yeah, so this is the beginning of everything happening, the beginning of the scheduled processes that will happen over the next 30 minutes. So the thing that's been supporting them the entire time, that back half with the solar arrays, has just separated from the capsule itself. So now we're looking at that triangular capsule re-entering the Earth's atmosphere. They're doing a raise burn. They keep talking about that, and that is to separate the capsule and that piece that just came off of it a little bit more so they don't have any interaction during the re-entry phase. The thing that just came off of it, that's going to burn up in the atmosphere as it makes its way back in. It doesn't have a heat shield to protect it, to shield it from that heat. So it's going to burn up while the capsule itself is going to orient itself now so that the heat shield protects the astronauts as it starts to heat up.
Let's listen back in.
Module raise burn is underway. A 19-second firing of the thrusters. And we have a completion of the burn.
Integrity, good. CM raise burn. Your flight path angle is within limits.
Integrity copies. Looks good on board, Jackie.
So the final maneuver is now complete. Our trajectory for a splashdown in the Pacific 29 minutes from now is set and will not be amended any further. And we have the right angle of attack to mitigate any excessive heat loads on the vehicle during entry interface.
Integrity Houston, a heads up about comm coverage. When you perform the 180 roll, for the first minute or so in that attitude, we expect about a minute LOS.
We copy.
Amanda, can you translate LOS? Can you explain that for our audience?
Loss of signal. NASA is known for its acronyms to shorten everything. LOS means loss of signal, so they won't be able to communicate with the capsule, and the capsule won't be able to communicate with control there.
So 1 minute of that, and then there's going to be the significant longer LOS a little bit later on, correct?
Correct. Yeah. So when that heat starts to build up, the plasma that is, being created from the 5,000 degree temperatures actually blocks that signal. So that is when that 6 to 7 minute loss of signal will happen during that heating period.
So communication loss of signal is now occurring. We're, of course, monitoring this very, very closely. You're looking here live at Mission Control Center. We also have this picture here as well from, again, the John P. Murtha, the USS Navy vessel, where we expect to see the long lens shot of the Orion capsule being slowly lowered down by all the parachutes upon deployment. We'll continue to listen in here to the NASA broadcast.
PM Central Time. During that period of time, we will reach our peak speed of 24,661 miles per hour. That comes just short, based on unofficial data from the flight dynamics officer right now, will come just short of the velocity record set by Apollo 10 of 24,791 miles per hour in 1969. We expect peak heating on the vehicle at 6:54 and 52 seconds p.m. Central Time, a minute and 22 seconds into entry interface. At that point, we will be just 204,000 feet above the Earth, traveling at 33,000 feet per second. The blackout period is expected to last 6 minutes. We expect that blackout period to end at 6:59 and 55 seconds p.m. Central Time. From the end of the blackout period until splashdown, it is just 7 minutes, at which point we'll start deploying the series of parachutes to slow integrity down to an ultimate splashdown velocity of just 19 miles an hour.
We see the same, waiting for the 180 rolls.
We now have a split screen here on the left, a live look at the splashdown zone from the USS John P. Murtha. On the right, NASA Plus's live broadcast. We're continuing to listen in for audio. You can see just over 25 minutes away from splashdown.
Sequence once again will come in several segments, but in rapid fire succession.
And we have a great view of the moon out window 2. Looks a little smaller than yesterday.
Guess we'll have to go back.
Reid Wiseman and Jackie Mahaffey exchanging discussion on a view of the moon that Integrity's astronauts are seeing in the final minutes of this mission that will be completed with splashdown just 25 minutes from now. 3 forward bay cover parachutes will be used to pull the forward bay cover off the top of the vehicle. Then 2 drogue parachutes will be deployed to slow and stabilize the crew module during its descent, followed by 3 pilot parachutes that will lift and deploy the main parachutes from the forward bay. The final sequence will have 3 main parachutes deployed. These will be 116 feet in diameter. Each main parachute approximately 265 feet long when reefed. The parachutes will ultimately slow Integrity down from its peak speed of almost 33 times the speed of sound to a gentle 19 miles an hour at splashdown. The vehicle is now currently in a roll to the proper attitude for entry interface. Our trajectory is right on according to flight dynamics. Integrity is on a trajectory from southwest and northeast across the Pacific Ocean, descending at a rate of 15,000 feet per second. Range to touchdown 4,300 nautical miles, all the systems in excellent shape.
Integrity, Orion in the EI roll 180 attitude.
Looks good on board, Jackie.
This view out of one of Integrity's windows. We had a call for 3 good baros. Those are barometric pressure sensors that feed altitude and rate of descent information to Integrity's computers that will trigger the parachute deployment sequence. We are less than 9 minutes away from entry interface, 22 minutes from splashdown. You can see the reflection of one of the crew members in the window. Out in the Pacific, the weather conditions remain go. Just a few clouds, some scattered clouds, winds at 10 knots, wave heights just about 4 feet.
Let's bring in Chief Meteorologist Jeff Baradelli. Jeff, as we listen there, they're clearly going over the forecast. Just want to let you finish. The forecast conditions optimal, right?
Sure. I mean, you know, this is great. I mean, like I said, there's a storm to the north of them, far enough north so it's not really making for any issues there. So as you can see, the seas are relatively calm. I mean, that's calm for off California. Winds are about 10 miles an hour in San Diego right now. There's a decent amount of sun. There's no rain for hundreds of miles. There is some rain in San Francisco, but it's not as far south as San Diego. So honestly, the weather is not going to be a big player, hopefully, in this at all. It's looking really good. Yeah.
Thank you to Chief Meteorologist Jeff Baradelli for the forecast. Let's get you back to NASA Live.
Houston, purge is complete. Crew and vehicle are configured for entry.
Houston copies.
And we're in step 37, transferring nav state to BFS. And Houston, in instruction 509, we are not below 0.2.
Integrity, no action required.
Integrity.
Now 6 minutes away from entry interface. We will hit the first traces of Earth's atmosphere at an altitude of 400,000 feet, traveling about 34,882 feet per second. Range to splashdown at that point will be 1,701 nautical miles.
Let's bring back in Max Fenrate, meteorologist, NASA correspondent for Next Star Nation, Amanda Holly. Amanda, take it away.
I've been obviously listening to the comms here back and forth. You heard him talk earlier about that angle of attack, and they said, they were good. That angle of reentry, right? That was a critical point because it is so small, the point that they have to enter the atmosphere that they are aiming for. That if they don't hit it, they very clearly said in one of their press conferences yesterday or the day before that they won't, the heat shield's not going to work. So it's really good to hear that they are hitting that angle of attack appropriately. That is one green check off of this list. And again, we're getting closer and closer to that, most critical point, that 6 minute period of blackout where that heat shield is protecting those astronauts.
Am I seeing this right? If I'm looking here, is that a reflection in the, let's see if I can bring this up full screen so we can see. It looks like there's a reflection there in the way, or there was for a moment, and it looked like they were the astronauts in that reflection. But I just want to make sure.
Yeah, I saw that earlier in their shot where they were panning around a little bit when they were doing that roll again, reorienting their capsule in the right configuration for entry. We saw some of their orange suits. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, let's get you back to NASA Plus Live. We continue our coverage here. As a reminder, we're paying attention to the comment section on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, TikTok Live, some other places as well. After splashdown occurs, we're going to be bringing in a lot of our comments from the comment section, so stick around. We're going to have a fun chat back and forth as we continue to monitor the progress as we get closer to splashdown here for Artemis II.
This view from Integrity as it crosses from southwest to northeast across the Pacific Ocean, 3 minutes from entry interface. "16.5 minutes till splashdown." The USS John P. Murtha and the recovery team is on station and in position, as are the airborne imagery assets that we hope to receive imagery from as Artemis enters the Earth's atmosphere and through parachute deployment.
Let's bring in Josh Scott here in the Stream Center. And Josh, we're getting close to that key moment. This is the 7:53 timestamp where, of course, we get to that 400,000-foot ceiling for Orion.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. I think, I've played the fanboy here, and I'm going to continue doing that. This is, just look at this view. You're seeing this live from the capsule, seeing Earth. Everyone that you know is in this shot right now. We are on the NASA Plus feed, and you're seeing it, and you can imagine what the atmosphere is like as they re-enter our atmosphere there in the Orion capsule. It's truly incredible.
Let's get you back to NASA Plus's coverage. We'll continue to monitor the comment section on Facebook Live, TikTok Live, YouTube Live. We'll be bringing in your comments here shortly. We're live here from the Stream Center, Tampa, Florida. Let's listen in.
Coming up on 1 minute until entry interface. Mark 1 minute until entry interface. 1 minute 20 seconds until the expected start of our 6-minute blackout.
Integrity, 1 minute to a 6-minute blackout.
Integrity.
Ten seconds till entry interface. And we have crossed the threshold, now entering the Earth's atmosphere. We're at 400,000 feet, traveling 34,800 feet per second. Time to splash down 13 minutes, 10 seconds.
We're now going to take you live full screen because we do not know how much longer we are going to have this shot. In fact, there it goes. All right. Oh, wait. All right. The signal is clearly breaking up as we're going to start to see the tiniest bits of debris from the Orion spacecraft break apart here during the reentry process. Actually, now that we are in blue, I believe that we have completely lost signal now with
from the anticipated point of peak heating on the
Orion.
vehicle, where temperatures will rise to about 4,000 to 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit. This is the true test of our trajectory.
This is interesting now.
And from the G5 aircraft in the vicinity of the splashdown zone, this view of integrity. So that pinpoint of light shows the vehicle as it enters the period of peak heating in the Earth's atmosphere, the first tug of gravity being felt by Integrity's astronauts since their launch back on April 1st.
The crew expected to experience up to 3.9 Gs in this phase of reentry. That shot was wild to see Orion there just a few pixels big.
The blackout period. Time to splash down 11 minutes, 33 seconds.
Look at all those people and all the anticipation right there.
Again, on the left, a live look at the USS John P. Murtha. That is the Navy vessel charged with retrieving the astronauts once splashdown occurs. We're listening in. We're not going to mute the audio any further. We're listening in to the radio transmission here from Mission Control.
About a minute 40 since this blackout phase started.
To those just tuning in, J.B. Buno, Josh Scott.
The support officer reports that the P3 has acquisition on integrity.
Garrett Phillips and Amanda Holly here with you.
3.5 minutes left in this blackout period. This is a visualization of the plasma buildup around the spacecraft and the repelling of that heat on Integrity's heat shield.
Amanda, this is that key moment you talked about earlier.
That peak heating, yeah. So that's a visualization there, but that is what the astronauts are experiencing, that 5,000 degree Fahrenheit, 16.5 diameter heat shield protecting those astronauts inside that capsule at a cool 75 degrees.
Again, we're live with a shot there on the left.
Reports that airborne assets in the vicinity of the splashdown zone do have a visual on integrity. Still 2 minutes and 40 seconds left in our blackout period.
2 minutes and
splashdown, 9 minutes, 35 seconds.
2 minutes and 40 seconds left before we anticipate getting communication back with the astronauts aboard Orion. We have a long lens shot here from the pool feed from the USS John P. Murtha, so they'll be able to zoom in. They were testing the zoom about an hour ago, and the zoom is wild on the camera.
Assets, as part of the recovery team, all have visuals on integrity.
They'll be able to zoom in on that iconic shot, the historic shot of the parachutes being deployed or fully deployed at that point as Orion gets lowered down into the Pacific.
Want to bring to your attention too, JB, in the bottom right screen there.
And the WB-57 flying in the splashdown zone also has a visual.
Velocity number.
And the Navy helos also have visuals.
Those visuals are obviously significantly important.
We're still in the blackout period. Still do not have communications from the crew.
4 minutes of the 6 minutes in now. It's incredible to watch those numbers fall.
We hope it falls down to zero.
That's right.
And we have a gentle landing in the Pacific Ocean off the coast of San Diego, California.
Communications from the crew. We should be out of the blackout period less than a minute from now.
You see a shot there of a welcome home t-shirt on the left on the USS John P. Murtha. The crew's ready to retrieve the astronauts. The USS Navy assisting NASA.
We are now processing data from integrity. Landing and support officer reports the small boats are en route to the splashdown target zone.
And you see on the left, we've got some phones out. We might have, or might be getting closer to an initial visual. For those just joining, these are the key moments as we expect Mission Control to reestablish communication here with Orion momentarily.
Passing through 150,000 feet, our trajectory is perfect. We're getting intermittent views of integrity. Still waiting to establish voice communication.
Integrity, Houston, comm check, post-blackout.
Houston, Integrity, we have you loud and clear.
Your trajectory is nominal, and your recovery teams have visual.
Guidance looks good.
No action for the enabled internal camera controller fail.
Big cheers from the viewing room here in Mission Control as voice communication reestablished with Commander Reid Wiseman. For America and a waiting world, Integrity is 5.5 minutes away from coming home.
That was the moment that so many at NASA
Passing 100,000 feet now.
were waiting for. Reestablishing communication, Orion intact,
Range
and getting closer to the
splashdown,
Pacific.
19 nautical miles.
Looks like a thermal camera here. I mean, the relief I felt.
Sure. I think everyone
That's right.
Watching, I'm sure, felt some relief to hear that voice come through on comms. And we're waiting for the initial shot. We will go full screen to that shot
Integrity
momentarily.
Impact to the camera controller fail is no cab 1 views of the chutes.
Integrity.
We're processing good data through the GPS system. A good view of integrity, time to splash down 4.5 minutes. And a view of integrity from the WB-57. We're at 50,000 feet. The pyros are armed for forward bay covered jettison.
And now we're looking for parachute deployment.
And there go the first series of parachutes. And we're on drogues.
And you heard the cheers.
2 drogues out the window.
2 good drogue shoots. Next up.
We copy, we see them.
Next up, the deployment of pilot parachutes that will pull the main chutes out. Time to splash down 3 minutes and 10 seconds.
Let's go split screen here. So waiting for the camera from the USS John P. Murtha to sight.
Good rates on 2 drogues.
We see the same on board.
Passing through 10,000 feet, still on drogues.
And there you have it, right there. Now within view of the Navy recovery vessel, more parachutes now being deployed.
Main chute deploy. We're at 5,000 feet. Search and recovery beacon has been activated on integrity. And we have 3 good main chutes. Good 3 main chutes, good reefing, good descent rate.
Good rates, and we see 3 good-looking parachutes. Integrity. Cabin pressure indicates no need for hydrazine checks.
Integrity copies.
This is a perfect descent for integrity. Its crew sounding hale and hearty on board. Time to splash down 1 minute, 15 seconds. Integrity about to complete a journey spanning 694,481 miles from its launch from the Kennedy Space Center back on April 1st, and a trip around the moon. Passing through 1,000 feet.
I'm curious what that is firing there. I assume we're seeing it on the thermal camera.
That is the thermal camera. So let's go side by side here. Show you the actual shot from the USS John P. Murtha. So there you have thermal imagery on the right. Oh, okay, now they're switching over on the NASA feed. And this is an incredible shot because the feed on the right is likely from a chopper in the air, now higher than it. And here we get ready for splashdown. Let's go full screen to the USS John P. Murtha.
Integrity splashdown, sending post.
And there you have it. Splashdown for Artemis II. 4 astronauts safely home. Let's listen in.
Pages of Jules Verne to a modern-day mission to the moon. A new chapter of the exploration of our celestial neighbor is complete. Integrity's astronauts back on Earth.
Where's the applause button, JB?
Yeah, let's hit the applause button.
Stable 1, we still will be deploying the crew module uprighting system to maintain that orientation. A perfect bullseye splashdown for Integrity and its 4 astronauts.
I mean, wow, look at that.
These images are absolutely incredible.
That dot in the ocean.
Pinpoint precision to get that close to the USS John P. Murtha, a coordination occurring, of course, between NASA and the U.S. Navy. For it to get that close to that ship, pretty extraordinary.
I know I said I felt relief when we had the comms back. I did not feel relief.
The unofficial splashdown time, 7:07 and 47 seconds p.m. Central Time. We'll get that refined for you. That would put the end of the mission at a mission elapsed time of 9 days, 1 hour, 31 minutes, 35 seconds.
I did not feel true relief till those parachutes were out.
And we're configuring for very low data rate. Once again, splashdown occurring in the Pacific, southwest of San Diego at 7:07 and 47 seconds p.m.
Integrity Houston, comm check on VLDR.
There it is. And we'll show you now
We have you loud and clear on VLDR. How else?
And now these are the boats heading their way.
Same, we'll meet you over in post-landing.
Perfect communications established.
A journey. We are stable 1, 4 green crew members.
Houston copies all.
Reid Wiseman reporting 4 green crew members. That is not their complexion. That is the fact that they're in great condition. That's what that means. So stable 1, upright. The crew module uprighting system is being deployed. The 5 airbags being inflated through helium to maintain the upright configuration for the vehicle. This was a textbook entry and a textbook touchdown for Integrity. Reid Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Koch, and Jeremy Hansen back on Earth after a journey around the moon.
They nailed it to the minute.
I was
to the minute.
Point. Incredible.
The splashdown zone, perfect. And I mean, we heard about the 8:07 Eastern time a long time ago. Was it yesterday or even the day before that they had pinpointed that time? It hit it to the minute.
I think April 4th was the article that I was originally polling from. They knew 6 days ago.
To the minute.
Incredible.
And I can't even wake up on time. It's crazy.
Can't make it to work on time.
Okay.
Welcome into the Stream Center, JB Buno, Garrett Phillips, Josh Scott. We are relieved. You can hear it in our voices. I can't imagine what it's like for NASA at Mission Control. Can't imagine what it's like aboard the USS John P. Murtha. And no one is happier.
To monitor the functioning of the CMOOS system, the airbags are being inflated to maintain a stable 1 or upright configuration. And there's a good view from one of the naval helicopters hovering overhead. Reid Wiseman reporting 4 green crew members, meaning they're all in excellent shape.
No one happier than Wiseman, Glover, Koch, and Hansen, and their families. Can you imagine their families right now?
Maybe their families.
I'm happy that they clarified what 4 green crew members meant, because I thought they were bringing back moon people. Truly.
Oh, I thought you were saying green because they were seasick already. I don't know.
Our beacon is in for 06, and we're powering the radio now. Go ahead.
We see the beacon on. However, the recovery team is not seeing the signal. Your SAW radio uses the same antenna, so you may run into trouble with the radio.
You talk about, looking green. Can you imagine?
Okay, copy. We are also powering up the sat phone now.
They went from no gravity, basically zero gravity, to gravity returning in the cockpit, and now they're
trying to reorient themselves.
The motion of the ocean.
Integrity is in great shape, and as the crew continues its post-splashdown timelined activities on board, Reid Wiseman once again reporting that all 4 crew members are in excellent shape. And we have 5 inflated airbags to maintain an upright configuration so that the recovery team can now begin a slow approach to the vehicle. Meanwhile, here in the flight control room, entry flight director Rick Henfling is polling his team of flight controllers for the start of powering down the vehicle after a thorough systems check. We have no toxic gases to be concerned about, so the recovery personnel can approach the vehicle, but not until we have powered down the spacecraft. That's expected to take a few more minutes.
Just take the key out of the ignition,
That's
right?
Just turn it off.
Just turn it off.
My car's a push to start. We've had that tech for a while, right?
I like the push to start. I wonder how many buttons it takes to turn off Orion. Amanda? Oh, yeah, I think you're muted, Amanda. Oh, no, we still don't have Amanda. Oh, what should happen? Amanda, we're trying to bring you in. I see you. Well, Amanda's joining us on Zoom.
Earth, following its historic flyby of the moon. It was, for all intents and purposes, a textbook mission.
On 2828, but I'll remain on this frequency.
Can we acknowledge?
We copy.
They brought back 4 astronauts from a round trip to the moon. I can't get Amanda on Zoom.
Well, we know that the Apollo mission, right?
But that's not an issue. What is more important is that the vehicle is solid. No issues as we begin the power down of the vehicle to begin the recovery process.
I was going to say, I know that the Apollo mission, right, it led to a lot of advances in technology. Maybe this mission will be the first to lead to some Zoom technology advancements for that communication blackout as they try to fix that issue. Fix our issue here in the Stream Center.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't perfect. There was the plumbing issues. There was an Outlook issue, I believe, as well with Orion. But this is the part of the process you want it to go as smooth as possible. And I'll be curious if this was a 10 out of 10 for NASA because from a location and a timing standpoint, I mean, you're talking about pinpoint precision unlike we've really.
The propulsion officer here in Mission Control reports that we have safed the prop system on integrity.
Can you say again that was very weak and broken?
Integrity, Houston did not call.
Yeah, I was going to say, you talk about a 10 out of 10. I mean, I'm sure that those 4 astronauts.
It might have been on the side radio. Stand by.
I'm sure the 4 astronauts are thinking, you know what, we can deal with an Outlook issue. We can deal with the plumbing issue. Everything that was important we got right, and that's a 10 out of 10, I'm sure, in their books as well.
All of the milestones were executed in perfect fashion. Integrity entering the Earth's atmosphere right on time, reaching its peak speed shortly after a blackout period began. We emerged from the blackout period, but the recovery imagery airborne assets were able to pick up Integrity's descent almost immediately through entry interface, tracking the vehicle all the way down. And finally, you saw the sequence of chute deployments. First, the forward bay cover being pulled off the top of the vehicle by a series of 3 parachutes. Then the drogue chutes were deployed, followed by the 3 main chutes that slowed the splashdown velocity of Integrity to just 19 miles an hour.
Let's welcome in our team. from the Stream Center here. All right, Amanda Holly, did Zoom bring you back to us?
Here, I don't know if.
Right.
We got her.
Meteorologist Amanda Holly here with us as well. She's also the NASA correspondent for Next Star Nation.
Integrity, Houston.
Let's listen for a second.
With no joy on SAR and SAT phone, we'd like you to command an additional 15 minutes for a total of 30-minute power down delay.
Oh, okay. So interesting. So it's not a single button to turn off Orion. It's going to take a little bit longer to power down the spacecraft. Amanda, you want to take it from there?
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit about it there. You know, they're talking about safing the vehicle, right? There's a lot of, trying to make sure we didn't miss anything there. There's a lot of propellant still in the vehicle itself, right? So they want to make sure that those toxic fumes aren't radiating out as these boats are coming to the capsule. Also, it's been in space for a long time. We talk about the radiation affecting the astronauts. Well, the radiation kind of gets on those capsules as well. So they have to kind of safe the vehicle in that sense and make sure that it's safe for outside people to come close to the capsule. So those are the things that they're going to be working on here over probably the next hour or so.
As we have the first of the several, I'm sure, boats that are making their way and getting closer, of course, to Orion in the Pacific Ocean off the coast of San Diego, California. We'll pay attention closely to these images here. We're going to get you back to the NASA broadcast in just a second here. We're going to start to bring in questions from the chat, also comments from the chat. Whatever you want to say, just use Hey JB with no spaces in the chat on Facebook Live, TikTok Live, or YouTube Live. We're going to start to throw up some of your comments. Are you relieved? Was your heart beating out of your chest? Do you have a question for one of our team members here, one of our stream team members? Let us know, and we'll bring your comments quite literally on screen if you use hashtag HeyJB or just HeyJB, no spaces, in the social media chat. It's the only way we're able to bring in comments because we have so many people joining across multiple platforms, including a large audience of TikTok Live. Hello there to our TikTok audience, Facebook Live, YouTube Live as well. Let's get you back to the NASA broadcast. We'll be back in about 60 seconds with your comments.
To begin the power down.
To call you on the sat phone and not getting an answer there either.
Concur. We haven't had anything come through.
And Houston, if you could relay to recovery that we hear them, but it does not appear as though they are hearing us.
Houston copies, and Reid, just to confirm, you are pushing the PTT on the radio.
So as we continue to sort out the communications between Integrity and the recovery teams, we are standing by for the initiation of the power down procedures that, as you see, the recovery teams are moving towards the side of the capsule. The next major event will be the erection of that large inflatable raft called the front porch. That will be the port of call for the crew as they're being extracted one by one from the vehicle.
You see there in the picture the boats now getting closer.
Integrity, Houston, for sat phone, we are going to attempt to call you.
When in doubt, a good old-fashioned phone call.
Do they get Verizon in the middle of the ocean?
And Jackie, yes. We are pushing the push-to-talk, the two buttons on the left side of the radio below the up-down arrows. We are utilizing them. I'm rebooting the radio to see if we get good comms.
Comms were smoother in space.
That's right.
That's what I was going to say.
And, just to confirm, you are seeing that you are touchdown plus 3030 for power, correct?
That's affirmative.
This has to be so annoying for the astronauts in there, having any sort of issue that keeps you from getting out of the craft, right? Once you're actually here, it's gonna be like, dude.
Look at this shot of all the vessels, both in the air and on the water, circling Orion. The only comp I can think of, Josh, is you know when you land at the airport and you're stuck on the runway for a while.
Mission control
the only
here.
comp I've
Call
got.
the crew
Please
on
keep
their
your
satellite
seatbelts on.
This is all part of the coordination for the power down of the vehicle that will initiate the actual recovery operation. The first boats with the Navy divers on board are standing by, waiting to close in on Integrity to begin the process of erecting the large inflatable raft that's called the front porch that will be where the astronauts are extracted from so that they can have a few minutes to get their land legs back before they're hoisted aboard the Navy helicopters for the flight back to the deck of the USS John P. Murtha.
Let's bring in Amanda Holly to answer this question from Megan in the chat. I promised we would answer some questions out of the YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook Live chats. Hey, JB, how long will the astronauts have to wait until they can be reunited with their families? Will it be tonight, or is there a lot of press to do? We know that there's the press conference later on tonight. I believe it's 11:30 Eastern.
10:30.
10:30 Eastern. Getting time zones mixed up. Amanda, how long do they have to wait?
The astronauts will actually not be with the press probably for the next week or so. They are going to be doing a lot of health evaluations on the astronauts, and they want to make sure that they are in good shape to do that press. But they do have a press tour planned with at least 2 weeks from now that they are going to start, obviously, getting out and about and answering all of those questions. As for the reuniting with their families, they did talk about that in a press conference either the day yesterday or the day before. And I can't remember if it was tonight or early tomorrow. They are bringing them back to San Diego or Houston, I believe, tonight on the helicopters.
We'll continue to answer some more questions. Let's listen back into the broadcast. And hey, JB, in the comment section, if you'd like to ask a question to our team, or if you just want to voice some words of support for the Orion team, we'll throw them up here on screen. Here's a great one. Sheila, hey, JB, is it possible to see them live inside? If I had that shot on the touchscreen, believe me, I would hit it, but I don't know.
I believe we heard that they had the one malfunction that they had in the capsule after the communication blackout was I don't think they ever got that capsule shot back. I remember hearing them communicating that they had lost the camera view, but that they had still been able to hear, obviously, them over the comms. So my guess is that's why we have not seen them put that back up.
Yeah.
Checking.
Of course, everybody wants to see inside the cockpit.
Of course.
See the 4 astronauts as they are back home. We'll continue to monitor the chat. That's the whole point of the Stream Center and Hey JB, is to bring you guys into the conversation and see what people are saying out there.
This is Mission Control Houston. While we stand by for the establishment of communications between Integrity and the recovery team that is basically standing by very close to the spacecraft, we're going to go to the deck of the USS John P. Murtha, where Megan Cruz is standing by with Administrator Jared Isaacman.
I have a question for Amanda.
Were you scared?
Yes. Yes.
Me?
Hey, Rob, yeah, just
That's
such an honor to
all
be
of
able
us.
to be
Were you scared,
here
Amanda?
on the ship, to be able to share and
Nerves,
experience this.
for sure.
Anxious is the word.
Yeah, I think the way that the officials put it, that they had irrational fears, and I thought that was a good way to describe it, right? Because they have the fears, but they know that they're irrational because they had so much trust in their team.
What's the pressure difference like at this point in the capsule versus outside of the capsule? And how do they adjust for that on reentry? It just randomly popped
Hold
into
on,
my
I'm
mind.
sorry. There's an interview taking place. Listen to this interview real quick.
Incredible moment right now. And yeah, incredibly grateful too for our teams here on the John P. Murtha right now.
Yeah, look at them behind us here.
Got everybody. Hey, what do you guys think? We just brought some astronauts back from the moon, huh? Unbelievable. Thank you. Yeah.
That's
so
NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman
sailors,
talking right now.
That are here, the NASA teams. I mean, this is a joint effort that's on their way right now. These recovery forces are getting out to our Orion spacecraft, to Integrity, get our astronauts back on the ship safely.
Yeah, and this is not just an accomplishment for NASA. This is an accomplishment for humanity. Again, a historic mission to the moon and back. How does this make you feel, and what do you hope people take away from this?
Well, I'll tell you, I think about the crew members that we've all had an opportunity to observe over the last 10 days, right? I mean, they're absolutely professional astronauts. I mean, wonderful communicators, almost poets. But then I think these were the ambassadors from humanity to the stars that we sent out there right now. And I can't imagine a better crew than the Artemis II crew that just completed a perfect mission right now. So yes, it's a huge moment for everybody, right? I mean, we are back in the business of sending astronauts to the moon, bringing them back safely, and to set up for a series more. I mean, this is not a once in a lifetime, which you hear sometimes around here. It's like, this was a once in a lifetime. No, it's not. This is just the beginning. We are going to get back into doing this with frequency, sending missions to the moon until we land on it in 2028 and start building our base.
Yeah, are we going to build on the momentum for Artemis III? I mean, it's just around the corner.
Absolutely. So, I mean, that's, part of me too. Like, I can't wait to get the crew off of Integrity right now, but also getting Integrity back on this ship so we can start taking a look at it, because all that data is so precious to us right now. I mean, we are going to definitely want to take a good look at the thermal protection system. We're going to want to download all the data they couldn't transmit back to us and use that to inform Artemis III. But we're already making progress, right? You had SRB segments already showing up at KSC. Core stage for Artemis III is rolling out on April 20th. We're getting Mobile Launcher 1 back in vehicle assembly building. So yes, there is a lot to celebrate right now on a mission well accomplished for Artemis II, and at the same time, we got to start getting ready for 3.
Amazing. And last question, for people who joined us for all 10 days to see what we can accomplish together with our international partners, what do you think about the fact that we're going to keep doing this more and more and more?
It's incredibly exciting. I mean, yes, it's the contributions, like the best and brightest across the NASA workforce from across the country, our industry partners, our international partners. We had a Canadian Space Agency astronaut on board in Jeremy. We had the European Service Module. And you think, in the days leading up to this launch, I mean, 48 hours prior to launching Artemis II, I was meeting with the Italian Space Agency. We signed a memorandum of understanding to build a habitation module on the moon. I mean, you have countries, all of our allies and partners coming together saying, we are committed to this effort. We are returning to the moon. We're doing it to stay. We are building that enduring presence. We are going to master the skills on the surface of the moon so someday we can undertake missions to Mars. It's just an incredibly exciting time, and we're not going at it alone. We're bringing everybody along with us.
Absolutely. And speaking of everyone, one more time, we're going to ask the crew here, you guys ready to land on the moon? Awesome. I love that. Okay, well, thank you so much, Administrator. Appreciate you being here. We're, of course, going to stay on to watch the crew get extracted from Orion, so stay tuned, and we'll see you back here shortly.
There was a slight moment of hesitation there where you almost felt like, can we just eat some popcorn for a minute before we go to the moon? Can we just enjoy this moment for a second? But no, that was awesome to hear from NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman, excuse me.
Excited and relieved.
Yeah, the relief there is written all over his face, because we've seen him in press conferences quite a bit over the last week, really, I mean, several months, leading up to Artemis, Amanda. So read between the lines there for me. You've been listening to every press conference. What do you make of that from Administrator Isaacman?
Just the relief. I mean, you could tell by his body posture, by the way he's speaking, the laughing. He is relieved by this for sure, because even just in the past couple of days, he's been talking about the TPS, right? The thermal protection system. He's had several interviews, and he doesn't put it lightly. That has to work. That heat shield has to work, or this mission is not successful. Those astronauts don't come home. So this was a huge success in his eyes, and he's excited about the next steps. He just unveiled the new plan for NASA over the next 10 years. He added the Artemis III mission, and then to orbit the Earth, to dock with those lunar landers. And then, of course, he's talking about Artemis IV landing on the moon and building that moon base.
Yeah, and you heard it there from Administrator Isaacman about regarding, think about it this way, Amanda, and you know this because we talk about this in the Stream Center quite a bit. SpaceX has really captured a lot of the attention the last several years. A lot of the headlines. You almost feel a little bit of LL Cool J in that press conference, that interview there. Don't call it a comeback. We've been here for years. Like that's how this felt to me. In that NASA is now at the forefront of space exploration, and they have a pinnacle signature moment to build off of for Artemis III and really beyond.
The fact that this was a success is really going to, I think, propel and accelerate the momentum at NASA now for the next several years going into the rest of the Artemis program. I mean, just within the last month, 6 weeks or so, since he's unveiled this plan, there has been, I mean, a lot more engagement. Everyone there, from what I hear, is really excited now. They're excited about the new plan. And they're excited about moving forward. I feel like they have more of a concrete plan of what's happening, and things are actually moving forward. And especially with this mission being successful now, they can build on the science from this mission, take that, and really start running forward with it.
All right, let's listen back into the broadcast. Starting now, we're going to pay attention to the comment section. They're scrolling in still. Hey JB on TikTok Live, Facebook Live, or YouTube Live. We'll bring your comments up here in about 60 seconds. Let's go back to the NASA Plus live broadcast and listen in.
Be extracted from the hatch of Orion into that inflatable raft before they're hoisted aboard 2 Navy helicopters in a variety of different configurations. Each crew member will be hoisted in sequential fashion, in alternating fashion, 2 crew members for each helicopter before they turn around to head back to the John P. Murtha. Once on the deck of the ship, they'll be brought into medical bay for comprehensive medical exams. But Reid Wiseman has reported several times that the crew is in excellent shape.
All right, let's get to some of the comments that have been coming in with Hey JB, no spaces, or hashtag Hey JB, no spaces in the comment section if you want to be added to the queue here in the Stream Center. So let's go to this. I'm seeing this one a lot, and it comes from this commenter. I don't know. It's got an emoji in it, so I can't say this person's name. Anyway, want to help me with that? What is that?
It's like L.A.?
It looks like a boat. Man, Gia. We're just going to go with Gia because I see the IA. Hey, JB, what health effects will they have after a reentry? And this is easier to read. Jasmine, hey, JB, will there be any health conditions to deal with after coming back from space? Who wants to chime in here and answer about the health impacts?
I mean, just right away, they're dealing with gravity right now. They can't walk. They've been in zero gravity, right, for 9 days, 2 hours, however long it's been. And yes, it's going to take them several hours to get used to that gravity. We're used to seeing the astronauts being kind of carried off of the capsules from the Crew Dragons, and that's because they have to do it in stages, right? They just have to get used to it. They feel like they're concrete, and they probably can't even hold the weight of their body right now.
Yeah, that's got to be a bizarre feeling. Like what?
Within a couple hours, though, they're moving around for sure.
Yeah. I'm not sure what the exact health impacts that are going to be, obviously, on these astronauts going forward. But I think one of the things that's kind of tangentially related to that, and that's one of the most interesting things to me, is these what were they called? The health capsules, the organ chips, I think is what they were called.
Avatars.
The avatars, thank you, that were sent along with them. Basically, like bone marrow donations from the 4 astronauts were put on the vessel with them to go on this mission so that they would have these essentially sample sizes of what we can now study to see what does the radiation that you experience on a trip like this actually do to a human body. So while they're working to make sure that the 4, full-sized individuals who went on the trip are healthy and safe, and they are getting whatever treatment they might need, if any, to make sure that they are good to go, they have this kind of like time capsule sample that they're going to get to look at and see, hey, what does this look like for future missions? When Artemis 3 and eventually Artemis 4 happen, what are the actual health benefits or risks that are going to go on with this, and how can we combat them early? And I think that's probably the most interesting part of the entire mission, to me anyway, is these little avatars that they sent with them.
Well, even right now,
really quickly, Josh, I just have to, Mia, Mia was the name because the
It
bow
does
is
look
like
like
an
an
The
M.
bow, I see it.
God,
It's clever.
over the head. I'm sorry, Josh, take it away.
I'm not good at doing anything when I'm car sick, and I think we're missing we're missing the main thing happening right now. They've got to be so nauseous.
I am so glad that you brought this back up. The bobbing. I just keep thinking about them bobbing in this
the
ocean.
Yeah. Never mind the re-entry and what they had to feel with the G-force and everything. All this while they're trying to troubleshoot shutting down the Orion and talking to the people in the boats on the outside. I mean, I have to put my phone away if I hit a speed bump the wrong way.
I mean, I get seasick on a boat that is made to be in the water. This is not necessarily made to, go out and enjoy your time in the ocean. So yeah, absolutely. That's just, I cannot imagine. And obviously what you have described, times that by like 1 million, because they're coming, as Amanda mentioned, from zero gravity. So now they're experiencing the return of gravity and its effects on their bodies, having to reorient themselves. We talked earlier in the stream, Amanda talked about how they didn't really know what was up or down earlier. Now, obviously, they very much do, and they're dealing with that and the rocking of the waves. It's just, I cannot imagine. I hope that they have, I don't want to be graphic about it, but I hope they have some bags in there in case anybody gets a little seasick. I'm just, ugh.
Well, Amanda, your perspective is unique. I'm going to say what you won't, because you and your husband Wayne are always on the water here in Tampa Bay, but also at the same time, you flew with the Blue Angels. So you know about pulling how many G's on that particular flight?
So I pulled 7.5 G's on the flight, but it's funny. Wow. Yes, I passed out. I threw up. But I threw up, ironically enough, in the 0G position. They were able to, maneuver the aircraft in a way that I was weightless. So I felt what the astronauts have been feeling for like the last 9 days. And that is when I got nauseous. So I don't know. But yeah, the bobbing it's got to be rough after feeling, nothing for 9 days and 2 hours.
I also wonder if, I know this sounds like a small thing, but it's got to be significant if they have any form of climate control in there. Like, is it, do they have an air-conditioned cabin? Like, are they, is it hot in there? I mean, they just experienced, temperatures that most people on this planet will never even come close to enduring, of course, clearly outside of Orion, not inside. But I'm just curious, are they hot in there? Is there circulation? Are they...
I mean, it has to be climate controlled if you're going into space, all right? So,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, are they able to go like, all right, no, I want it actually at 68 in here, and
well, they can, but they have to tell Houston that, and then Houston adjusts it. It's funny because at the first couple of days of the mission, they had the temperature in the capsule a little cooler, and all the astronauts were cold, and they were able to bring it back up a little bit. So they definitely have climate control.
So you're telling me that Houston can remote access and control to a precise degree the climate inside of a capsule that is on its way or circling the moon, and I can't get my thermostat to be exactly where I want it at home? Come on. That's insane.
That's pretty
wild. There are perks to being an astronaut for NASA.
Let's get to Evie and our very popular question in the chat right now. How long will it take for them to get to the main boat? What's the timeline expected?
I believe we do know that the ship, or NASA was expecting the astronauts to be in the ship's medical bay within 2 hours of splashdown. We are, coming up on about half an hour or so, a little over half an hour at this point. So they expect, according to NASA experts, they're expecting to have these astronauts in the ship's medical bay within the next hour and a half, roughly.
All right. So
I do wonder if that is delayed though because of the radio communication issue that they're having, and they delayed that shutdown 30 minutes.
We anticipate this going on, of course, on its own schedule. Obviously, that goes without saying. What we're going to do now, speaking of schedule, we're going to get back to the NASA broadcast and listen in. Clearly, with some of these comments, what you have seen is that people are watching from quite literally around the world. Social media is great in that way, in that we can reach people, we can reach a global audience. So TikTok, YouTube Live, Facebook Live, these are platforms where we're reaching an international audience. As we return you to the NASA Plus live broadcast, we'll listen in for a few more minutes. Let us know in the chat where you are watching from. We're going to scroll as many comments on screen during this portion of the live stream. We'll be back to answer some questions here in just a minute. And we have activated audio once again. There's just no audio right now on the NASA Plus feed. So when they do return to speaking over the comms, you'll hear it here, but we just brought audio back up, and the audio is right now at radio silence. But here we have one of the boats getting as close as we've gotten to the Orion capsule, carrying the 4 astronauts, feeling every wave, I'm sure. We'll continue to listen in, and let's spotlight some of the comments that are coming in where people are watching from. I'll read a few of these out, and what we'll do, Carrie, when they actually do come in on the broadcast, we'll of course lower our microphones. Carrie is watching from London. Very cool. Rah lover. I love the usernames, you guys. The usernames are great on TikTok because you just never know what you're going to get. Watching from Baltimore, Maryland. Very cool. Lacey's watching from Ireland. Ray is watching from Colorado. Oh my goodness, I'm going to try to say this name. Ruari is watching from Scotland. We've got Gracie is watching from Illinois. On YouTube Live, we've got Hauska watching from the Czech Republic. Will says, from the UK, half American, half British. I'm a bit of both. And then emoji flags for each country as well. Maya's watching from Raleigh, North Carolina. Very cool. Again, the NASA broadcast is up. We're just waiting for them to come in once again over the comms as we watch here the boat get closer. What's happening?
What they're approaching.
Yeah, so this approach is going to be fascinating. It sounds like they're trying to latch on. That's what it appears is going on here. Let's see. Ampo is watching from Alabama. Roll Tide.
This is Mission Control Houston. Once again, you're watching the initiation of the recovery of the Artemis crew aboard Integrity. All of the Navy divers and the fast boats are now approaching the spacecraft after conducting a hazard assessment. The vehicle has been powered down. Entry Flight Director Rick Henfling now waiting for the life raft, the front porch, to be erected along the side of the vehicle so that the hatch can be opened and the crew members extracted from Integrity, soon to be hoisted one by one into a pair of Navy helicopters for a short flight back to the deck of the USS John P. Murtha. If you missed it earlier, we talked to Flight Dynamics and received a more official touchdown time or splashdown time, as it were, of 7:07 and 27 seconds p.m. Central Time, 5:07 and 27 seconds p.m. Pacific Time. That would equate to a mission elapsed time of 9 days, 1 hour, 32 minutes, and 15 seconds.
So it was even closer to their expected time than we originally thought.
Unbelievable.
Nuts.
They mentioned the front porch a second ago, which I think is another really fascinating part of this. It's basically just a giant inflatable raft that the Navy divers are going to kind of deploy, and they're going to basically just push it right up against the capsule. The capsule will open, the 4 astronauts will step out onto the raft, and then they're going to basically drag the raft about 100 yards away from Orion so that the 4 astronauts can be airlifted by helicopter 2 at a time to make their way back to the ship. We talked about how these astronauts are going to be a little disoriented. Can you imagine the first thing you do so as far as standing back up once you reach Earth is to step on an inflatable raft in the middle of the ocean? That's
how disorienting.
That's not easy to do when you're used to gravity, much less had a couple of days outside of it. That's crazy.
Not exactly firm ground.
No, probably the opposite of that.
As astronauts, you would imagine that they are ready for just about anything. Mm-hmm. But I'm sure that a couch sounds pretty good right about now. You know, to watch some baseball.
Land?
Yeah, land. Just land in general. Let's just call it land. My goodness, the amount of countries that we are seeing, from Greece to Poland to the Philippines to Israel to Ireland. Again, we're just shouting out some of our commenters to show you that this is truly a global event, and the amount of people that are watching from beyond the United States, but also too people that are watching from stateside. Watching from Virginia, says Megan Williams, joining us on YouTube Live. But then we can go to TikTok Live and say that, or excuse me, this is also YouTube Live. This is watching from PA, says Titus. And then small town Texas girl, you know where she's watching from. She's watching from Texas, Florence, Texas, to be precise. So we'll continue to throw some up here on screen. We have the NASA broadcast up full blast, audio-wise, as we're looking here live at the retrieval mission as it is taking place. These views are spectacular, by the way. Being able to have these choppers in the air to provide video coverage.
Water is pretty calm. I know they're rocking a little bit, but that is some calm water.
Amanda, if you're unmuted, chime in here, because could the weather have been any more ideal for this? This looked to be perfect weather conditions.
Yeah, I mean, it really, really is. You don't want anything more than this, right? Because as we've been talking about, that bobbing is not great for those astronauts. So as
Amanda, feel free to continue. Oh.
you know, earlier they talked about the seas being about 4 feet, but it's 4 feet over a long period. So that's helpful for these astronauts, right? There's a little bit of bobbing going on. There's a big swell of 4 feet here, but fun to see the smoke in the background. That just kind of gives an idea, make sure everyone knows exactly where everything's at and keeps an eye on things. I don't envy those camera views either, because they're really far away.
Some 41 minutes following splashdown, the vehicle has been powered down. There's no hazardous gas emanating from the vehicle. That's why the first team of recovery personnel has been able to pull alongside Integrity. And the reports continue to come in that the 4 astronauts are in excellent shape.
First humans to touch the craft that visited the moon. We just saw right there, that recovery team. Well, first humans that aren't in the craft, I should say.
I got some Epiphany vibes for anybody who knows in Tampa Bay.
Yes.
As we hear some of the communication back and forth, let's continue to spotlight. We'll transition here shortly from where everyone's watching from to some of the questions and comments and feedback and your thoughts and what you thought of the Artemis II mission, resulting in what appears to be I mean, it's not very often you hear NASA use the word perfect. And it was multiple times, Amanda, where you heard the word perfect. I'm sure in the press conference later tonight, we'll hear, some of the things that they monitored that, perhaps wasn't a, glowing 10 out of 10. But, from the surface level, watching from our vantage point, it couldn't have gone much better.
I agree. I mean, they have everything nailed down to the second for a reason. All of that is in their mathematical calculations to getting to the moon and coming back. And very impressive to see everything kind of evolve that way as well. Also, just want to say hey to everyone joining us from around the world, because that is so cool. This truly was, you heard the administrator say a few minutes ago, that this was a return to the moon for humanity, not just America. And I think that it's really fun to see the entire world watching
Houston,
this
continuing
mission.
to watch the initiation of the recovery of Integrity's astronauts. One by one, they'll be brought out of the spacecraft onto a large inflatable raft just a short time from now. In the meantime, we can go back to the USS John P. Murtha, where my colleague Megan Cruz is standing by to provide her situation report. Megan, can you hear us?
Hey, Rob. Yes, I can hear you. Thank you. Yeah, we're back here on the bow of the recovery ship where there are still plenty of people peering out into the water. We are not very far from the action everyone is seeing on their screen now. The Orion spacecraft, Integrity, in the ocean, surrounded by a number of recovery boats. As Rob has been saying, in those recovery boats, NASA and Navy personnel specifically trained to get the astronauts out of Orion. In some of our wide shots, you can probably see that there are 6 boats out in the water. More than 40 people out in the water right now on those boats.
Let's bring in Amanda, Josh, Garrett, myself for this question, because I was wondering the same thing. Why so many recovery boats? Clearly, this is, okay, so this is, let's put away the comment here because we're going to want as much screen real estate as possible. This is a major moment as the first boat now gets their hands on a vessel that just was, I mean, a few days ago in making basically a lap around the moon. Imagine being the first person to touch Orion, knowing that that was the vessel that just made it back from a lap around the moon. So we'll watch here very, very closely. But feel free to our 3 guests here, 2 in the Stream Center, 1 at home, Amanda Holly. Yeah, a lot of boats in the water.
I'm curious. I wonder if it'll be, maybe Amanda, you could speak to this a little bit more, but I wonder if, first person out gets in this boat, next boat comes up, or if a boat will come to the side of it.
It's going to
they talked earlier about, the divers that were on scene, the Navy medical officer that's going to be able to check them out. I'm sure all of these personnel have a very specific job, which is pretty cool, and they all have to be there. And, they have to plan for contingencies, right, in case something is not nominal, not perfect in this case. And so they have to be ready for those scenarios as well.
Yeah, they talked earlier also about that front porch that basically, I don't want to call it giant. I don't really know how large it is, but obviously large enough to fit at least 4, adults onto it. But a lot of those boats, or at least some of those boats, are going to be assisting in.
And that, not to interrupt you, is
there
that
it is.
A glimmer or is that open?
That appears to be an open hatch.
Wow. Earth air. They are now breathing Earth air once again.
Which does smell better than that cabin air.
I would imagine. Let's listen into the broadcast.
Side hatch of Integrity is open. You're getting these beautiful shots from our aerial assets. The ship itself, where I'm on, just 3,000 yards away. Again, plenty of people on the boat here, glued to the side closest to where they can see all this action. And again, with just 3,000 yards separating us, great views from the bow here. You can see now that side hatch is open. One of the Navy personnel is about to get inside there. In they go. In total, 4 will go into Orion. So it'll be a little bit of a tight squeeze, but the goal is to have a recovery personnel with each astronaut assessing them. Boats getting closer now. Again, that one that's right up against Orion, those are the divers that will go in to the spacecraft to check on each of the astronauts. These other boats will begin doing a number of things, putting on that stabilization collar onto Orion, building that front porch. Eventually, they will retrieve the parachutes, as well as tow Orion back to the well deck of the recovery ship here. And so as we wait for the Navy and NASA personnel to get their assessment of the crew inside of Orion, why don't we toss it back to Rob for an update?
Yeah, thank you, Megan. Here in Mission Control, Flight Director Rick Henfling and the entry team of flight controllers still on duty. The vehicle has been powered down for some time now. There are no hazardous gases emanating from integrity. That, of course, allowed the recovery personnel to approach the vehicle and then open the hatch to begin the initial medical assessment of the crew, as you just indicated. Now we're standing by for the erection of that inflatable raft, the front porch, alongside of the vehicle that will enable the crew to be extracted one by one onto the raft, have a moment or two to get their land legs back before they're hoisted into 2 hovering Navy helicopters, 2 crew members for each helicopter, for a short flight back to the deck of the USS John P. Murtha. All of Integrity's systems operated flawlessly throughout the course of the approach to the Earth, the entry into the Earth's atmosphere, and all of the key milestones that followed in this high-speed return to Earth for Integrity, a mission that spanned more than 694,000 miles from the vehicle's launch from the Kennedy Space Center atop the Space Launch System back on April 1st.
Let's bring back up some audio here as we are just in this is joyous. We're in here. Amanda, I wish you were. I know you're in the cozy confines. Yeah, you're home. You're probably happy to be home, but we're here at work. But this is we're just so elated that NASA's back. I mean, let's just make that we're back. America's back.
As we mentioned,
NASA's back.
At the top of the broadcast, the last time that the Apollo program saw a splashdown in the Pacific was Apollo 17 back on December 19th, 1972. So for the first time in 53 and a half years, we have reenacted that with the arrival of Integrity's astronauts as they flew around the moon in that historic lunar flyby that began with a trans-lunar injection burn that took them out of Earth orbit following 24 hours of a high Earth orbit trajectory. The high Earth orbit trajectory enabled flight controllers here to have a full 24 hours to evaluate the systems on Integrity and the condition of the crew before they would commit to flying to the moon.
In other words, we're back.
We're back.
Yeah. That was perfectly timed, JB. Also, we are watching right now what looks like the platform that they've been talking about being like spread out. The front porch.
On the note of NASA being back, there's a couple things that have happened. Russia in the last few days committing to wanting to have themselves a moon base, and China obviously wanting to get astronauts there. Another space race.
Yeah, we're on the verge of that.
If we're truly knocking on that door, I could not be more excited to see what comes from it.
And you know what's fascinating is that if we are on the verge of another space race, we have it both not just from the public sector, but also SpaceX's involvement and the private sector is going to be a fascinating wrinkle.
Amanda, I'm seeing your facial reactions here.
Yeah, we have to react to what's happening right now. That poor swimmer is fighting that current for his life or her life.
I didn't even see that.
It's clearly a strong current that they are swimming to, and you got to get that to the capsule. So hopefully somebody gives them a hand out there.
Here we are talking about the space race, and someone out there is really, really struggling with the current. It looks very calm out there, but I'm sure it isn't, Amanda.
Well, it can be calm, but you can still have like a strong current sweeping you away. So I think that's probably what's happening there. Looks like they're getting some help, so I'm happy about that. Space race, yes, let's talk about that.
Amanda's reaction was so funny. I thought it was in the space race.
No, Amanda's actually worried about people while we're over here talking about something else.
She's in the present.
Listen, we're getting some great views of it. I had to react to it. We need the private sector's involvement to be able to land on the moon. So the capsule that you're looking at on your screen right now, that's not going to land on the moon. That's going to keep them in the moon's orbit. That has to dock to a lunar lander that SpaceX and Blue Origin are currently building right now. So we need the private sector's involvement with this.
And that's what they're going to test with the Artemis II mission in Earth's orbit.
Yeah, so hopefully both lunar landers, SpaceX and Blue Origin's lander, will be ready to test them, because that's their ultimate goal next year, is to test both of them on one mission, have both of them in a low Earth orbit close to Earth, and land and dock with both of them.
Go ahead.
Is there a feeling to either of those companies who might be ahead on the lander, or is it really, we don't know until we see it happen?
I mean, I think I'm sure there's a race between them both, right? They want to be first. They want to do it right the first time, and they want to be able to use them, because I don't know if NASA has to ultimately choose one or not, or if they'll use both of them.
A space race within a space race. Competition is always going to bring out the very best in all of these dev teams, all these development teams.
Yes, and it brings costs down,
right?
And that's why NASA has started
with
to
the
involve
hatch of Orion having been opened to set the stage for the erection of the inflatable life raft known as the front porch, to be erected alongside the spacecraft for the extraction of the crew. Let's play for you an interview that my colleague Megan Cruz conducted on the USS John P. Murtha with Navy diver First Class David McMahon that explains how this process is unfolding.
Back in just a moment.
Okay, Davey, so you and some of your team, one last look over of the stabilization collar, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what is this stabilization collar?
This is what's going to stabilize the capsule out there in the ocean. We don't know how good the weather or the waves will be that day, so this will help prevent any unnecessary occurrences from happening, stabilizing the capsule and the astronauts inside.
So basically this is a float that will go around Orion. I'm assuming that what they're doing right now, these are the lines that will attach the collar onto Orion?
That is correct.
And so what are they doing here?
So we've got the lower line that will secure the inflation device before we inflate it. That gives us the go-ahead that it's secure in its space, and then we'll inflate it. And then once that is done, we'll undo all the carabiners and get this orange line on top tied in the same fashion. And then this will be secured to the capsule, and the astronauts can safely take their first steps out of the capsule onto the front porch.
Okay, and how long will it take them to set up the stabilization collar?
We should definitely be able to handle this in under 10 minutes.
Okay, wow. And then you just mentioned the front porch. So basically, after they set up this stabilization collar, then they set up what's called the front porch here.
That's correct.
Okay, and what's the front porch?
Front porch is basically a bigger waiting room for the astronauts to sit in while we wait for the helicopters to show up and grab them.
Okay, so the medical team that was inside with the crew, they're going to help them out and onto the front porch?
That is correct.
And then what happens here?
We have higher trained medical personnel also on board the front porch that will give them lookovers and just make sure they're okay while we wait for the helicopters to show up.
Okay. How does it feel, I mean, your team, you, to be part of a mission that's returning astronauts from the moon in more than 50 years?
We all feel extremely honored to be a part of this, as well as a bigger mission for the Navy and joining up with NASA to do great things.
Mm-hmm. And do you feel like you and your team are ready?
Yes, very ready.
Cool. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Once again, the recovery operations are continuing out in the Pacific. We shortly should see that life raft, the front porch, erected alongside the side hatch of the vehicle.
So we heard some applause there before the broadcast cut out.
You can see movement right there in that open hatch of the first astronauts too.
A number of flight controllers have come into the flight control room to receive congratulations from entry flight director Rick Henfling. But we're going to stick with our operations out in the Pacific as we await the extraction of the 4 crew members who are reported to be in excellent condition.
So for those of you just joining us, I'm sure a lot of folks have been watching for quite a while. JB Buno, Garrett Phillips, Josh Scott, Amanda Holly here with you on stream on Hey JB from the Stream Center in Tampa, Florida. This
again, while we stand by for that front porch to be erected alongside of the side hatch of the vehicle, let's go back to the USS John P. Murtha and Megan Cruz. Megan?
Hey, Rob. Pausing now to listen to some internal audio loops. Again, the operations team here on the ship communicating with everyone out on the water. It seems like currents are hindering them a little bit from unfurling and inflating the stabilization collar as well as the front porch. But again, the requirement to get the crew out within 2 hours of splashdown, plenty of time. So no concerns just yet. But as calm as the water looks, yeah, it looks like it's hindering the teams just a tad.
So again, for those of you just joining us, we are waiting for the signature moment. This is a photograph that will, or a series of photographs that, do they have textbooks anymore? I just remember being in high school and learning more and more about space exploration and seeing the iconic photographs of astronauts emerging when they return back to planet Earth. And we're moments away from the next signature moment that I'm sure will live on really the internet for really indefinitely. So that's going to be a signature iconic moment, a historic moment. We're waiting for the front porch to be inflated, and then we'll see the 4 astronauts, Wiseman, Glover, Koch, and Hansen, as they emerge victorious from the Artemis II mission.
695,000-mile journey around the moon. If you think you get carsick.
Hey, they're making jokes like we are. Hey, NASA can make jokes. Look at that.
Again, 6 boats out there. Lots of gear with them, just in case, right? As we said, the crew reported feeling great. But again, all those folks out there, in case they weren't, right? NASA is all about making sure we think about every situation that can happen. And so, of course, wanted to be ready in case any of our astronauts needed more medical attention while out there in the water. You see now teams, again, trying to set up the stabilization collar and front porch for the crew to get out of Orion. They need both, right? The stabilization collar will keep Orion from swaying as you see it is doing now.